everyone, it's John from What Up. Welcome back to another video. Now, this is going to be a challenge for two different reasons. One, this is a review. I've never done a review before, so this is baby steps for me. I'm building up to doing reviews of the show when it does come out, so bear with me for that. And the second thing being is I'm going to try to do this in one take, which I have problems with that. You'll see most of my videos are cut up a little bit here and there because I tend to mispronounce things, say things wrong, but we're going to see if we can do this in one take. And this is not the first take, just so you're aware. I'll let you know at the end if it works out well. All right, so what am I reviewing today? Well, I'm reviewing A Flight from Shadow, which is a fan-made Wheel of Time film. Now, this was shot in and around the Salt Lake City area and released at the 2013 Salt Lake Comic-Con. So it was made by Wheel of Time fans, and everything in it was essentially donated. So you have all of the time of all the people that worked on it, the materials, the practical effects, the costumes, everything. Everything you think of in this film was all donated, and it is not monetized. So they didn't make any money doing this either. They did it for the love of what they were doing and wanting to share this with other fans. Right away, that makes me feel good because that's kind of what I'm doing here with minimal to no production value. You know, I'm doing this because I love it. So I really like seeing people who are passionate about things and putting their all into it. So what we'll do is this is a spoiler review because I'm going to talk about all of the scenes in it and we'll go through it step by step. So if you haven't already seen A Flight from Shadow, link's in the description box. Please go click it. Go watch the fan film. When you're done with that, come back to this review and let's see if you think the same way I do. So I'll give you a minute here. Go click the link. Watch it. If you've already watched it, you're still with me? All right, here we go. Full spoilers, just so you're aware. All right. So the opening scene of this film is phenomenal. I was blown away. Now, you have to understand, I watched this years ago when it first came out, and I didn't really remember it that well. I remember it being very good, but I don't remember much about it until I rewatched it the other day, which is kind of what gave me the idea for a review, because I was like, wow, this is way better than I remembered. So the whole thing kind of takes place during the Eye of the World, during the chapter Four Kings in Shadow. So they loosely base it, and I'm using the term loosely because there are some deviations, some changes. It's an adaptation, like I say with the Wheel of Time show. But it is done very well. Now, the opening scene is an Aes Sedai going to Sheo Ghul, and she ends up talking with a Myrddraal. She tells us right away she's Black Aja, and then she gives us her plan, what she's going to do. She wants to basically raise the biggest army ever seen and take it against Randall Thor and his friends, who is on the Camelin Road, and kill those friends and capture Randall Thor. Now, this is not a scene directly from the books. However, it does set up some things. We know the names of some of the characters now, we know what they're doing, we know what's going on, and we know that people are searching and hunting for them. And that sets up the rest of the film really well because we don't have the rest of the book behind it to kind of set it up. So that worked out really well. Again, not right from the books, but worked out really well. Now, in this particular scene, the actual set is mostly green screen, and you can tell that it is, but not really well. Like, it's done so well that I actually kind of had to look at it a couple times to make sure it wasn't a real set. They did a really good job with this. The production value is very, very high. So the set right away, phenomenal for the first opening scene. And then you have the costuming. So the Aes Sedai and the Myrddraal, their costumes, top notch. I mean, Robert Jordan can talk about, a cloak for 4 pages. They took all of that and they put it into these costumes, and they did such a phenomenal job with it. The costuming was just like next level. I don't know what else to say about that. Then you have the makeup and special effects. So makeup for this is the practical effects of the Myrddraal. Now, if they took this Myrddraal and they ported him directly into Amazon Prime show, I wouldn't be terribly shocked. They would have to do very little to up it to a massive, huge budget level. They did such a good job with the makeup for this. It was really, really good. Now, this Myrddraal looked and felt scary. The voice was on point. The acting of the Myrddraal was on point. It was really, really good. And they even had some special effects in the background of shadows coming from Sheo Ghul and stuff, and that looked phenomenal. Then we get into the Aes Sedai. The only complaint I had about the Aes Sedai is her acting was just a little over the top. It was very... Everything was very enunciated. She enunciated every word properly, and her expressions were a little too... What's the word I'm looking for here? They were a little too fierce, I guess is the best way to put it. It didn't feel natural. But again, donated time and actors and actresses, that's the only small complaint I had. And it's a small one. I mean, like, this person still did way better than I ever would, but Again, a small complaint. And then we got to see a little bit of special effects. So we got to see channeling on screen for one of the very first times. Now, a couple of things happen with this. So the channeling itself is actually, for special effects at the time, like VFX, not too bad. Like it was pretty good. It was what you would expect out of a medium to low budget movie at the time. Like it was actually pretty good, and they handled it quite well. You could see the weaves being formed because she was using the one power against the Murdral because they got into a little bit of a tiff. Now the Murdral swung his sword at her, broke the weaves with the sword, which I didn't truly understand. I took it more as breaking the concentration. So that was the only other little thing in this scene I didn't follow. But overall, phenomenally done. Then after that, we cut to Rand and Matt on the Camelin Road. Now they're walking up the road, and I mean, if I haven't already seen Yosha and Barney Harris as Rand and Matt, these two actors nail it. I mean, they channeled the characters. Now, this is what I've said a bunch of times. You don't specifically have to look the part as long as you can channel the character and you're believable. Now, these two people, they made me believe they were Rand and Matt. It was phenomenal. It was really good. They're walking up the Camelin Road. Their costumes, again, at this point, phenomenal. The camera work, really, really good. It follows, and it feels like you're watching a blockbuster movie. Now, the set itself, amazing. You have the rock walls behind them. You have the really old ox cart. You have the old man leading the cart. It's all really, really good. I said ox cart, but it's not an ox cart. It's just a cart with a horse. But it's really, really good. And then you cut to a scene that you don't see in the books. And this is where they have a false dragon outside of the town, and they basically relay his crimes to everyone, and then he gets executed. So not something you see in the books, but it gives a very good example of what the power is, what male channelers are treated like. It's one of those scenes where they added it in, like you said, adaptation, but it explains so much really well. It was well done. It was seamless. You couldn't really tell it was a change or deviation from the book until you go back and think about it a little bit. And I've read the series 46 times. I knew it wasn't a scene, but I still liked it. And then they go into, of course, the inn in Four Kings. And they go in there and they talk to the innkeeper. And the innkeeper, almost word for word, the dialogue here. And it's pulled from Jordan's words, and I've said this before that I think that sometimes his dialogue wouldn't translate well to the screen, but they did a really good job of translating this to the screen. It did really well. They made it believable. All the cursing, blood and ashes, light, all those things, they came out, they talked just like it was natural. Like these two actors and the actors that were in the inn, really good. So then you have the scene where the innkeeper backhands the serving girl, which you also see in the book, and it just makes you hate him, and it's all well acted and well played out. And of course, if you know that scene in the books, it's where Rand and Matt basically play for their supper. Rand plays a flute, Matt juggles a bit, they want supper and a bed, they get pallets in a back storeroom, and all of that is beautifully done. The inn itself, the set is beautifully crafted, the lighting is amazing, the camera work is done really well. It's, like I said, if this was a big budget movie, I'd still be giving it a glowing review up to this point because they did so well. Like, you could tell a lot of heart and soul was put into this. So all said and done, they go back to the storeroom afterwards. The people that are playing the characters, so you have the dark friend that shows up, you have the two bodyguards, essentially is what they are, the innkeeper's bodyguards. The innkeeper himself all did a really good job playing this. And then you have Rand and Matt trying to escape. Now, the escape is not exactly as pictured in the books. It's a little bit different. There's bars in the windows, but they don't have, the wedges and the pry bar and pushing it up and trying to time it with the thunder peals and the lightning so they don't hear. But they are arguing with the dark friend for the door, just like in the book. But the way Rand and Matt do it is they have a hoe or a rake, and they're trying to prop the window open and wedge it open. It works a little bit better, I think, because it's something they had at hand, and it just played really well. Again, phenomenal acting at this point. And then you have, the sequence where Rand uses the one power, and you get to see the one power used on screen again. Really, really well done. The acting is really good at this point, too. They all talk like I would expect the characters in the Amazon Prime's adaptation to talk. So all said and done, they escape the inn and take off, and that's pretty much the end of the fan film. So start to finish, it's about 27 minutes long. So I'm talking here, and I kind of broke it down scene by scene, and I'm not going to use stills or video from it because I don't want to steal their work type thing, or anything like that. But If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's really good. So we've gone through my review step by step. Now it's time to see what I think. What do I think of this? Well, if we go over this, the acting, I'm going to give 4 to 5 stars. Mainly because that very first scene with the Aes Sedai, she was a little over the top, and that was it. Everyone else was spot on. And when I say a little over the top, she was just a smidge. Felt like I was watching a local theater production instead of a movie. With her, everyone else felt like a movie. If that makes any sense to you folks. So 4 stars out of 5 for that. Cinematography, the way the camera work was done, 5 out of 5. Easily. This was shot just like a big budget movie would have been shot, and it was really, really good. Like, I enjoyed watching it. Lighting, again, done really well. The sets, 5 out of 5. Costumes, 5 out of 5. They nailed everything perfectly, from what the characters were wearing to the time period to the fact that everybody had a little bit of dirt smudged on them, kind of like Monty Python. Like, no one is essentially clean all the time in that kind of world. You can't be, because you don't wake up every morning and have a shower and have all these toiletries available to you and then put on brushed clothes and they're freshly laundered. They're going to be a little dirty. And they were not, it wasn't over the top by any stretch of the imagination, but they were a little dirty. They played that really well. The people, the more uneducated people, like the regular town folk, played it really well. You had someone kowtowing to Rand because he had a sword. He looked like a lord, so like, oh, sir, in kind of a condescending tone. Done really well. And there was one scene in it that I know was played for laughs, and it went over really well with me, was when they're like, all right, let's do this, let's get it over with. And Rand and Matt kind of spun around and jumped, and they started playing the flute, and they started juggling, and it was done really well. Now, one thing I will mention is Rand isn't actually playing the flute here, I don't believe. It's a little recorder type thing he's playing. And my daughter is very musical. When I say very musical, she's got a very critical eye for music. She plays a bunch of different instruments, and she's very good at it. She watched this with me, and she was impressed in how they were able to cut around and not show him physically playing it like you would really play something, in such a way that it doesn't take away from everything else. She said, as a musician, they did a really good job, because he's not a musician because he's not really doing it, but you can't really tell either. So that was another big point in this thing's favor. Directing, 5 out of 5 stars. Special effects, so the makeup, 5 out of 5. And for the time period and for what they did and the budget they had, the CGI effects they had for the fog, for the shadows from Sheo Ghul, the green screen background for the blasted lands, and the channeling, done really well. Like, I'd say 5 out of 5 for me personally. So all told, this fan film for me is on the level of Wheel of Time on Prime stuff. Now, I've also done a review for The Winter Dragon, and it did not do well. And you could tell the difference between the two of them was the love, time, care that they put into it. Winter Dragon was rushed. People didn't care about the project. They wanted to keep rights. It showed. This thing was a work of love, a work of passion. They wanted to get everything right. They really enjoyed and believed in what they were doing, and you could tell they had fun with it, and it really showed in the end production. So all told, this thing, if you haven't seen it, it is a must-see for any Wheel of Time fan, period. You have to go watch it. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that review of it. It was really good, and I hope some of you who haven't seen it are going to go see this fan film just here on YouTube and drop the creators a line. I've left links down in the bottom in the description box to be able to see it, maybe leave them some comments and stuff. Tell them how good it is, because it was phenomenal. All right, thank you all so much for sticking with me here to the very end. Here's to many more.